My name is Sifu David A. Ross, and I'd like to welcome you to the new martial revolution and the Lion's Roar martial arts system. On here you're going to find weekly lessons introducing you to the method. We're going to start off with some basic technique and keep building on it, building on it, building on it. You'll have eventually an entire curriculum on here. And later on, what we'll do is we'll be offering seminars if you want to train this in person. And at those seminars, there'll also be certifications. So if you want to get certification and ranking through this. So before we actually begin a lot of partner work, we want to work on just basic tool development. Basic tool development means the proper execution of the techniques. And of course, the proper execution of the techniques means, are we generating the proper power? And are we generating power in the proper manner? Heavy bags are very useful for this. They're probably one of the most important tools in martial arts training. So I get in front of a bag. The more advanced you get, your practice becomes more productive when you envision your bag as a human being, as an opponent of roughly the same size. Now obviously I'm not trying to fight an opponent square on, so I have my fighting stance. Gives me a little bit of a distance. Again, I'm light on my feet, I have my hands up. The same basic fighting stance that we had before. But now I'm in front of something that when I hit it, gives me some resistance. So our first basic tool is always jab. Now you'll notice I'm not punching like this. And on a bag, it's very easy to see because the bag is not that wide. In the air, it's very easy to punch here and not notice that you're not in the middle. But on a bag, you end up hitting the side and kind of sliding off. It's the same thing with the cross. You'll slide off. You want to have a line straight down the middle of the bag, and that's where your jab goes and your cross. Now, when I jab, in and back, in and back. There are two basic energies, or ging, associated with the jab. One is the penetration. I prefer the penetration, which means that not only do I hit, but I hit through the bag. If you've done Western boxing, there's also the spring energy, which is more of the touch and come back, touch and come back. That's not to say that my penetrating jab doesn't come back, but it has that moment where it's actually doing the damage before it comes back. I have the cross, again, from the middle, straight in. A cross has two basic energies. One is the penetrating energy in and through, and the second is kind of a sinking energy, which is as I'm hitting, slide down. So again, I can go straight in and back. I'm holding this hand down so you can just focus on the cross. Or I go in and down a little bit and then pull back. Obviously, I should be practicing with my hand up. So your basic tools are, first you develop jab, then you develop cross, then you develop jab, cross together. Hips and shoulders, jab, cross. So, my personal belief is that we need to practice both with and without gloves. I think without gloves, obviously has that self-defense feel to it. I think it's good for focusing on technique, but in addition to technique, we always have to have power, and we have to have repetition. And if you have a lot of injuries, you don't have repetition. So gloves allow us to hit hard, hit a lot, make impact, avoid injuries, and thus get in repetition. So we're talking about our fighting stance in front of the bag. We're talking about picturing the bag as an opponent, and we talk about basic tool development. You have jab, you have penetration. That doesn't mean it doesn't come back, but there's a little bit of a quality of hitting and going through. Then you have spring, which is just a tap and come back. Almost as if the retraction is quicker than the extension. That's the spring energy. That's used to keep distance. It's more of a distraction or a setup. Penetration, that's going to actually do some damage. With the cross, you have penetration. Obviously, the cross, the rear hand punch is designed to do some damage, and more damage is done when we use the sinking, where it comes in and down a little bit. I still want to learn how to pull my hand back to protect myself. I never want to just end up with my hand down. But again, I'm working a little bit in and down. And as I said before, without the gloves, you're going to end up skinning your hand a lot and having a lot of injuries. You put them together and you have jab cross. Hands are up. People get a little too anxious and they go 1, 2, and they end up with their hands down. I want to go 1, 2 with my hands up. 1, 2. 1, 2. Hips and shoulders, come back. 1,